Today's video was made possible by Lens Rentals. If you want to try out some new camera gear before you decide to buy, follow the link in the description and use the code LRBF2022 for 20% off any order arriving before the 24th of February 2023. And if you're watching this video after that, or you want your rental to arrive after that, check the description. I will update with any newer discount codes if there is one after that. Usually I have a code for 15% off, so if you miss that one, there should be another code down below. Back in September, I placed an order with Lens Rentals for an X100V because I wanted to try it out while I was on a trip to Utah with my wife and her family. I used to own an X100V. I had it for just about a year, and then I ended up selling it because the viewfinder had a weird black spot in it and I didn't want it to get worse, so I got rid of it. And I was also curious about a Leica, so that's what I got in replacement of it. But ever since then, I've wondered if maybe I made a mistake. Was the X100 really everything that I needed or wanted? I've wondered if maybe I should just, sell the Leica and get the X100 back, because I love the X100 and also love the Leica, but I recognize that it has more limitations than the X100. And my whole plan was to make like POV style videos like I usually do on this channel and talk about the camera and make those videos and talk about the pictures that I made and all those sorts of things. But that didn't end up happening. And what I expected was to realize how much I loved it again and missed having it and would be torn between the Leica and the X100V. But that's not what happened. I didn't feel like I wanted to use the X100V. I wanted to use the Leica, or I wanted to use the Ricoh GR. And actually on a couple occasions I picked up the Ricoh GR instead of the X100V because it was more convenient and more appropriate for that moment. So when I got home, I was torn. What kind of video am I going to make about this? And I thought, I've made a review video that was pretty comprehensive. I stand by everything I said about it. It is a wonderful camera. I also made a video about the things I didn't like about the X100V, and I still stand by those. Those are all things that I still don't like about it. If you're interested in either of those videos, I will link them in this corner of the screen, or I'll stick them in the description. You can find them. And around the same time that I placed this order, apparently the X100V was kind of blowing up. It was out of stock everywhere. Some TikTok influencers were using it and kind of blowing the camera up a bit. So it was getting inflated prices online. A whole bunch of videos started to pop up in my YouTube feed about the X100V. There was ones that were love letters to it, and ones about why you should buy it, why it changed your life for photography and makes you a better photographer and all that sort of thing. And I selected a few videos and I thought I'm just going to take a couple clips from them and talk about things that I disagree about them, because I think that it's a very personal thing. People have opinions on it, and sometimes I think these opinions are incorrect, and I thought I would just espouse my opinions on the internet. And for most of these videos, I will link their video down below. You can watch them. Most of them I found very informative, and I didn't necessarily think they were wrong about it. I don't think they were wrong about the camera at all. I think everything they said was pretty solid, but there was just a few little things that I did not really agree so much with. So starting with the first one.
Well, the X100V is one of my favorite digital cameras to shoot stills on for those exact same two reasons. It is insanely easy to shoot, and that slim point-and-shoot style form factor body gives it that portability and that accessibility.
So this was pretty early on in the video, and the guy mentions that the camera is insanely easy to shoot with. And that's not something that I think is actually the case. I think cameras that are insanely easy to shoot with have a button that you can twist and turn it to A, and just point it and shoot it. And whether it's a DSLR or not, you can just have it on that auto mode and it will make a picture. That is what a camera that's insanely easy to shoot with. A phone camera is what I would consider insanely easy to shoot with. The X100V has 3 different A settings that you need to turn the camera to set it to that complete beginner, insanely easy to shoot with mode. And even then, you have to make sure you're on the insanely easy to shoot with autofocus mode. So I think there's really 4 settings to get to that point. I don't think it's a beginner camera. I think it's a camera for someone who kind of knows what they're talking about. And well, this person definitely knows what they're talking about. I just think that point was maybe not exactly the case, in my opinion. Especially for the way that I used to have it. I would have everything on manual, and even manual focus on the X100V, and if I handed it off to somebody, there's not much chance that they would have been able to take a picture with that camera without some specific direction from me. And it would have took me 4 different setting changes, maybe even 5, to get it into that insanely easy mode. The next point of this video that I disagreed with was actually him saying a point that other people had made online, which was that it's the closest thing to shooting on film without actually shooting on film.
The X100V is the closest thing to shooting on film without actually shooting on film. A lofty claim, some elitists might kind of cringe at that one, but I absolutely see where they're coming from. I started off this video by talking about how shooting on the X100V can be really reminiscent of my 35mm film point and shooting.
I think that's far from the truth, because the X100V is a modern digital camera with some film-like features that Fuji is kind of known for. So it's film simulations and the style of the camera, the feel of the buttons, that kind of thing. I don't think it feels anything like a film camera. I've used a whole bunch of film cameras. I started with film cameras, and the Fuji X100V, while it feels cool because it's got that retro look about it, I don't think it feels anything like shooting film. The feeling of shooting on film to me is the feeling of not wanting to take too many shots because it's going to cost you money. The feeling of having to develop stuff afterwards. The feeling of needing to know if your light meter in your camera is even accurate enough, or how it needs to read a certain scene, or having an external light meter and loading film. And there's a whole process behind shooting film that makes something feel like film. And maybe I'm overcomplicating this explanation, but I think if you're going to get something that's close to shooting on film without shooting film, you need to look at early digital cameras like the Epson RD1S, what the heck is it called? That early Epson rangefinder that was like 6 megapixels, and you could only put a small memory card in it, and it was also manual focus. The early Leica M9s. Things like that are the kind of camera that's going to get you closer to shooting film without actually shooting on film. And even saying that, if you buy an EOS Elan 7, it feels a heck of a lot like a modern Canon DSLR. It's got good autofocus and a good light meter and auto winding and all that sort of thing. So, I mean, what does shooting on film really feel like? I should probably move on from that point, because if it feels like shooting on film to someone and reminds them of that, then that's absolutely fine, and they enjoy it for that. That's great. I just have some opinions on the whole feels like film, looks like film, but isn't film kind of culture, and I just think if you want it to feel or look like film, you should just shoot film instead of trying to emulate the whole time. Anyways, probably started some internet beef there. Don't really want to do that.
And yes, it's a fixed lens APS-C sensor camera intended to be shot in JPEG.
Okay, I watch a lot of Reggie Ballesteros' videos. He's a wedding photographer, and I enjoy watching a lot of the things on his channel. There's one point at the start of his video when he says the X100V is intended to be shot in JPEG. I could not disagree more with that. If it was intended to be shot in JPEG, I think it would just have JPEGs. Like, why would they give you the RAW option? There's a RAW converter within the camera where you can shoot RAW and build JPEGs within the camera. There's a whole process and workflow around that. I don't think it's intended to be shot in JPEG. I think you just can. I just think Fuji just happens to have a good JPEG engine within their camera. I mean, because I think by that reason you could also say the XT4, XT5, the X Pro 3, all of them that have those same sort of internal things for producing film simulations and JPEG converters and stuff like that. You could say they're all intended to be shot in JPEG, and I'm pretty sure that's not the case, unless I missed some sort of marketing material from Fuji, which is perfectly valid, because I'm not really looking for it. So, but in the end, this video is actually a really good one. He says got a lot of great points about the camera. I just disagree. I don't think it's intended to be shot in JPEG. I just think it is a very good camera to decide to only shoot in JPEG. And the way I used to use the camera was to shoot it in RAW, sit on my sofa when I got home, flip through the pictures, and then create the JPEGs in the camera. That way I could sort of adjust them up or down, you know, change a couple things if I wanted to. It tended to be just brighten it a little bit because I usually would shoot like 2/3 or a stop under to preserve any highlights. So anyways, great video this one. Good one to watch if you're looking into an X100V and if it would be the right thing for you. A little bit of a change of scenery. I got derailed earlier on because my kid woke up from his nap, so it's now evening time and I'm lit by an IKEA light, so hopefully it looks okay.
I know with the return of film, people are always chasing that nostalgic look, and that is the appeal of this camera for a lot of people, myself included. But at the end of the day, this is the only camera that when I pick it up, it's a totally new experience every time I use it.
Alright, so this guy's video was actually one of my favourite videos on the X100V. At first I clicked on it because there'd been a bunch of videos that said a love letter to the X100V, and a couple of guys I know were kind of teasing the fact that that had been put out there a lot, but this video was actually great and I agreed with everything that this guy said in the video. The one thing I would say is that chasing that nostalgic look could be said for any of the Fujifilm bodies because they all have that film simulation type thing. And I would even go as far to say that really chasing the nostalgic look would be going for those older cameras that are a little bit more awkward to use, but have the older sensor technology, and people tend to feel like that older technology has more of a nostalgic look. But that being said, he's not wrong, and I definitely recommend watching this video.
Another reason why everybody wants this camera is that because it is small, it is compact. It can be easily put on your regular pockets, your jacket pocket, or even your hoodie.
Okay, the notion that this camera is compact enough that it can be put in your regular pockets is kind of wild to me, because although you could probably squeeze it in there if you really stretched your pockets out, I don't think it's convenient or comfortable to have that camera in your pocket. It's not that small. If you're talking a larger pocket of a jacket, yes, or that sort of front pocket of a hoodie, yeah, you can fit it in there, but again, it's big enough and kind of cumbersome enough that I don't think it feels comfortable in those pockets, and it's way more comfortable to carry it on a camera strap. And as with any of these points that I'm making just now, it can come down to opinion. Clearly, all these people are putting out their opinion on the internet, and I fully respect them for that. It can be a difficult thing to do, to receive criticism from people as well. So in the nicest way possible, I'm trying to espouse my own opinion, because I need to make a video on this camera after getting it from Lens Rentals, and I did not get the content that I thought I was going to get when I went on my trip.
Just doesn't feel right in your hand. If you're taking photos, you kind of always fiddling, and it's very much like a toy camera. It doesn't feel like a real kind of professional camera or even a hobbyist camera. Whereas this has a decent size to it.
So this was a point that I feel that I quite strongly disagreed with this one, actually. The idea the X100V feels like a toy camera and doesn't feel professional or even like a hobbyist camera, it is also kind of wild. Like, it is a premium compact camera made of metal with nicer materials. If you go down to a toy camera, or a $300 camera that is truly a cheap point and shoot, the materials are going to feel very different, very plasticky, and things will feel a lot cheaper. Really, that's the bottom line. The X100V is not a cheap feeling camera. That being said, the guy in this video is comparing it to the X Pro 3, which for the body alone is more expensive buying it new than the X100V, and you have to buy the lens on top of it. So you're buying the flagship X Pro camera, which admittedly does feel fantastic in your hand. It does have, like, the ergonomics of it in general, I think, are much better on the X Pro 3. That is a camera that I thought felt nicer to carry around. But that doesn't change the fact that the X100V should not be feeling like a toy camera to most people, and maybe this guy's got bigger hands, and for that reason the smaller camera feels that way to him, and that's fair, but I don't think for most people, if they've been through a progression of cheaper cameras moving up to the X100V, that they would find it anything like a toy. Like, it's a nice quality camera. It's expensive, but it's nice quality. By no means does it feel like a Leica. By no means does it feel quite as nice and substantial as the X Pro. But yeah, I think I've made my point here. Let's move on. So after saying all that, these are smaller things that I kind of disagree with. And you know, the point is that if you're looking into the X100V, if you're interested in it because of all that hype and all the TikTok videos and stuff that's out there, think about some other cameras in the Fuji line. It's that the X100V is expensive. You could get away with an XE4. It has pretty much the same internals in it. It looks similar. It looks great as well. It has interchangeable lenses, but you miss out on things like the weather sealing and the built-in flash and the ND filter and the leaf shutter. It's a much more normal kind of camera. So if you're not going to use an ND filter and a leaf shutter and a built-in flash on a regular basis, consider getting that cheaper body where you can also play around with different lenses. And also, if you're in the sort of beginner category, even intermediate category, and you're not sure if a fixed 35mm equivalent focal length is what is for you, then that's another great reason to go with something like the XE4. And even then, you could go to other Fujifilm models, the older X Pro 2, the X-T2, the X-T3, the X-T20, the X-T30. Your head will spin when you look at how similar the sensors and the image quality of all these cameras are, and it's just minor little changes like weather sealing, dual camera slots, different video functions, a flip screen or no flip screen, an optical viewfinder and an electronic viewfinder. Little things like that are the differences, but overall Fujifilm images are relatively similar across the ranges of models. So take what you will from me, take everything with a pinch of salt, do as much research as you can, and if you're looking for a really good video on the X100V, I recommend the one Matt Day did. He very eloquently talks about why he got the X100V for his own personal kind of work, and gives a fairly balanced opinion on why he got that camera. And for me personally, after having owned the X100V and loved it for about a year, I ended up selling it and I got a Leica M262, a camera that I would not recommend but that I absolutely love, and I don't think I would change that for the X100V again. However, I also wanted and needed a kind of a Ricoh GR. The original Ricoh GR got for about $300, and it's been a perfect companion to the Leica. The Ricoh GR gets grabbed on a daily basis if I'm just going out in the car, going somewhere, and I want to put it in my pocket. I don't want to be carrying a camera, which I would put the X100V, I'd carry it in the same way as the Leica, so I would still have the Ricoh if I had the X100V, but that is kind of just a nice, for me, travel family camera when photography, real photography is not necessarily happening. And the Leica is just for my own enjoyment, for any time where we're walking around and I feel okay or feel compelled to carry a camera with me. And so if you want to see my full review on the X100V, click on the link in the description. It'll take you to that video. And also if you want to see my complaints about the X100V, I'll also link that down below. And these were from a while back, so it was before the current hype around the camera. So that's it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. I know that this was not on my usual sort of thing. I didn't have a POV video to make or to talk about it. And yeah, this is a learning experience for me as well. Not the video I expected to make. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Yeah.
We're in Glenwood Springs. Oh my god, it's frosty. Woke up to this view.